Got that stuff on Friday, right? This picture where you
Yes, I got it. And then I have the other one. I know you didn't speak on it, but I have one picture of it over there in that street, off Main Street.
No, I was going to.
I figured you could have bypassed it.
No, I just wasn't going to deal with that one tonight.
Okay,
all right.
This city road that
Yes, you do.
we're too
Oh,
close
okay.
to Metro Atlanta.
Why don't you just grab the whole thing?
Yeah. They want to bring the house with them.
Y'all ready? Watch everybody in the crowd jump right here. Good evening. I'll call this meeting of the Cartersville City Council to order. If you'll please stand for our invocation and pledge.
Join me as we pray. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight, and I know that there's a lot of folks with heavy hearts as we move into this holiday season, and we just ask special prayer of comfort and peace on those who may be struggling during this time, those who are maybe suffering with illness, those who are with grief from loss. We just ask a special blessing of comfort and peace as we move into this holiday season. But we also want to think of those also in this week of focusing on hunger and homelessness awareness, that we also think of those that we can reach out to, and those who may be unsheltered tonight, or those who may be hungry. We ask that they would have a roof, and that they would have a meal. And so we think of that. We thank you for those in our city who have filled this gap, and that we ask that you would use each and every one of us to do the same to help fill that gap. As we go in this season of Thanksgiving, wow, we have a lot to be thankful for. And each one that stands in this room tonight, we're thankful for them, the families that are represented. We're thankful for the city, the work that's done. We're thankful for our first responders, our firefighters, our police officers, our public works people who are respond every day to our needs and put their life out on the line. So we ask a special blessing on them. And so we come with thanksgiving. Thank you for the city. Thank you for this opportunity to do the work of the city. Go before us, and we'll give you the praise and glory for what's done. And it's in your holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Just take the roll, please.
Harry Pike, Ward 1. Here. Dave Steph, Ward 2. Here. Harry Roth, Ward 3.
Here.
Gary Fox, Calvin Cooley, Ward 4.
Here.
Gary Fox, Ward 5.
Here.
Melissa Cordell, Ward 6. Here.
Gang's all here. How about that? First order of business is the approval of our council meeting minutes from our meeting on November 7th. Council, you've had an opportunity to review these items, and now would be an opportunity to make any adjustments to those. And if there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Minutes are approved unanimously. On the front end, council, I'm going to ask you, we've got 5 items to add to the agenda. I'll entertain a motion to add those 5 items.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. 5 items added. Mr. Menino or Mr. Lovell getting us started on this proposed ordinance change?
I will, Mayor. Basically, we had a request from Southern Cove before the Alcohol Control Board, a 2-part request. One part was to change the percentages for specialty shops. They were requesting 51 to 49 from the existing 75 to 25. The Alcohol Control Board heard their request, and their recommendation, if the council wanted to make a change, was for those percentages to change to 70-30 and exclude sales from events and festivals downtown if a establishment can provide sufficient documentation to do so. The Southern Cove representatives are here to make their request before you with respect to that. Whether they are going to go along with the Alcohol Control Board or make their own request, I don't know. That'll be what they'll present to you. The second part of their request before the Alcohol Control Board dealt with changing the entertainment hours for the downtown area. The Alcohol Control Board stated that those hours were set by council. They basically did not want to have any input in it, and they felt that, and they authorized them to come back at a later date, probably not tonight, and make a presentation with respect to that, and suggested that they probably meet with all the downtown merchants in the DDA to come up with a unified recommendation if they were going to present that to council.
Okay.
And with that being said, I'd ask the representative.
So that portion is not part of this first reading, correct?
Correct. It's not part of the ordinance.
All right, thank you. So
I
we'll,
just wanted to let y'all know the whole history.
I appreciate your thoroughness as always, Mr. Lovell. If the applicant would like to stand up and give us a presentation as to why you're suggesting this proposed ordinance change, and as always, your names and addresses for our clerk so we can get that in the records, please.
It's Buddy Frederick with Southern Cove, 39 South Public Square, Cartersville.
Jason Frederick, Southern Cove, 39 South Public Square, Cartersville. Mayor and council, thanks for having us. We appreciate it. I'm going to let my father kind of jump in. He put a lot of data together, so I'm not going to steal that thunder.
Okay, so our scenario is, when we were here 2 years ago, and we were gracious enough to get the ordinance adjusted to allow the distilled spirits. It was great. It's been great. Had no issues with it at all. I knew at that time that at some point I would probably be back here. You may remember that comment that the 25% that was agreed upon would at some point become a problem. It wasn't then. It took nearly 2 years for that to happen, but it is an issue now. We are currently at 28.95. And I realize that, that's higher than it's supposed to be, and that's why we're here. So we know that as long as we continue to grow, that's going to continue to be a problem. Otherwise, we got to figure out a way to stifle business. And, that's not a way to progress and move forward. So we would like to, address that now and get that changed to 51 retail, 49 alcohol. Mainly because, if we do a very small step like the alcohol board, suggested, we'll be back here. I'm sure we'll probably be back here in the next year, if not 2 at the most. And so we're either going to keep on beating this, or hopefully the 4951 will take care of it. In my personal opinion, not even sure why it really matters. If I'm selling over $400,000 worth of retail, does it really matter how much alcohol we sell? I realize that, it's on the books for a reason, but, I wanted to put it out there that, we've had 0 problems in the length of time that we've been in business. Don't foresee a problem, but, we certainly ask for y'all's help addressing this and see if we can move it forward.
A couple little data points just for some knowledge. So the downtown does a fantastic job of hosting events, and we benefit greatly from those events, and we appreciate it. It's needed. What that looks like, though, is about $64,000 of alcohol sales comes from downtown sponsored and pushed events. We're lucky enough to be sitting in the parking lot where all those take place, so we get that business, which is good. If you take the percent of sales in alcohol from the events out of the equation, we'd be sitting under 21%. We'd be far under compliance. So we're thankful for the events the city puts on. Those events have pushed us over about 8.5% total from where it would be if we excluded those events to where we are now. So a little bit of history of the numbers.
So did I hear you correctly that if there was a way to just exclude those event numbers, that you really wouldn't need the percentage changed at all?
Well, no, we didn't say that, but I.
No, that's what you just said. That's what I heard.
No, I didn't say
You just said you were at 21% if you took those.
No,
did you not say that?
No, I did not say we wouldn't need it changed at all.
No, but what I said was,
That's not what you said.
if it were 21%, by allowing it to back out the actual event stuff, you'd be
Right.
at 21%.
Correct.
Which means you still have 4% under the current ordinance to be in compliance.
That's a great way to put it, and that is correct.
Thank you.
However, the request to change does not negate, because within that 4% buffer, 4.5% buffer, like my father stated, we'd be in front of you guys again, I fear, sooner than later.
Or probably by next year, if not.
Yeah. Any questions for us?
Well, I'll just make a statement. It appears at this pace, within a couple of years, you'll want 75% alcohol sales, and then at some point, it's going to be a very minimal retail shop and a more alcohol sales type situation. If it continues to grow the way it's growing in the last 2 years.
So that's very presumptuous to state. Number one, we're a retail store, we're not a bar. That's why we don't scream from the rooftops in every bit of advertising we do, hey, come to Southern Cove and drink. We advertise, come to Southern Cove and shop. And when people come in, they always say, I didn't know you had a bar. That's because we don't scream it from the mountaintops. That's for you to discover when you come in and shop. If we wanted to go that route, our marketing would be different. That's not the route we want to go. So that is speculating, rubbing a crystal ball, if you will. There's no way we can say that would happen because we're not pushing to be 75 or 80 or 90% bar. All we're doing is trying to get out from under the thumb of a rule that is holding us back or keeping us in front of you guys more often than all of us would like.
Back to my comment, Jace, if you're selling $400,000 or $500,000 worth of retail, does it matter? Does it really matter? I mean,
he's got a point.
Based off of a retail store downtown, if you compare our sales to the other shops in our general area, we're probably somewhere on the higher end of most, maybe not the top, but on the higher end. And, to have that number of dollar sales in the retail side, I don't know if the alcohol matters. All it does is bring more people in town, more money downtown, more money that's switching hands, more money to the city. I'm not seeing a problem, but.
I'll close with this. If you haven't been in the store, or you haven't been in the store lately or recently, come in before you make a decision. Your decision made without even knowing who or what we are or what we're about is not fair. So if you have not stepped foot in our store, especially on a Friday or Saturday night, when the bar is going to generate the most revenue, I encourage you to do so you can check out the type of establishment we are. We're not a bar. It's a place for people to go that want to have a drink that don't want to go to a bar. And you'll see that if you come in.
Any other questions? Thank you,
Thank
gentlemen.
you, guys.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions or discussion needed by council at this time? All right. This is the first reading. We will take this up for our second reading at our first meeting in December, which is actually a morning meeting, which is December the 5th. So we'll take that up for consideration there. We will move on with the agenda. Next item is T24-06, and Mr. Menino, I believe you have that item.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor and Council. This is a proposed text amendment to our current zoning ordinance. Right now, or presently, athletic training facilities are allowed in our light industrial zoning district. With that, the applicant is requesting to add clinics for physical therapy, rehab type clinic. It's part of his business model in his sports training facility. And with that, it was a pretty quick meeting with Planning Commission. They did recommend approval of this application. The applicant is present and does have some additional information to share with you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Randy at this time? Thank you, sir. I'll open up a public hearing for T24-06 and ask the applicant if they wish to come forward and speak. And as you heard before, please, sir, give your name and your address for our clerk.
Good evening, Asa Williams. At the time of the application, my address was 51 Lenox Park Avenue. It's currently 7 Westchester Drive, Cartersville, Georgia. BFD Performance and Recovery is scheduled to open next month in December, but the true formation was molded several years ago back during my playing days. My senior year at Reinhardt University, just 11 games into our season, I had what I was told a season-ending, and for that matter, a career-ending knee injury during our first conference game of that season. Because of this injury, I was thrusted into a world of physical therapy and a new role with my team as a player coach, assisting our pitching coach as needed with our younger pitchers and catchers. This is where my love of coaching, all things sports performance, health, and assisting athletes becoming the best versions of themselves was first born. Upon graduating Reinhardt in the spring of 2016, I found a job related to my major, but after just a year of working, I found myself very unfulfilled in that career. Thus, in 2017, with some encouragement from my wife, I went back to school to obtain a new major and simultaneously became a community coach for Cartersville baseball team. 2 years later, in 2019, with a new major and 2 years of coaching under my belt, I found myself doing something that I loved and something that I was passionate about, working a full-time job in the medical field and becoming the pitching and catching coach at Cartersville. Because of the congruence of these two different but very ever-colliding industries, I've molded my coaching career around a confidence and health-centered approach. For pitchers, more than any other position in the field, confidence is the foundation to success, and arm health is quintessential to both individual and overall team success. I tell my pitchers, you've only got one arm during your career, you must treat it as such. Now going into my 7th year, being blessed with this title for the high school, I found myself falling more and more in love with playing such a vital role in an athlete's success, both on and off the field. Being able to mold an athlete into the best version of themselves while making them firmly believe that they are the best athlete on the field is something that I look forward to every day during the spring season, and something that I find myself yearning for during our off season. The essence of BFD has now been roughly 3 years in the making. After looking for several locations over the years and being denied, told no, this isn't a good fit, or things falling apart at the last second, I've been blessed to find someone who is willing to buy into this product that I know will change the lives of athletes and fitness enthusiasts all over Bartow County and its neighboring counties. My family has a long history of servanthood within this incredible and ever-growing city of Cartersville. My grandfather, Houston Turner, was a World War II vet. He owned and operated a convenience store just right outside these walls at the corner of North Irwin Street and West Cherokee Avenue. My mom, Andrea Williams, has served in the community banking for roughly 30 years now, while simultaneously serving on the board of our local Boys and Girls Club. Recently, just a few years ago, she was awarded the National Medallion Award for 15 years of service to her community. My father, David Williams, worked on the side for Daily Tribune Sports as a sports writer, and also volunteered for the Cartersville football team as their statistician for roughly 10 years. My brother, Dave Williams, has served bravely for the city of Cartersville and Bartow County as a firefighter and first responder for nearly 15 years now. And now, myself, volunteering as a coach who is spoiled with some of the most talented athletes in the state of Georgia, with an ever-increasing desire to serve our community at a larger scale, leading me to the discussion of today. BFD is a one-stop shop haven for all athletes and fitness enthusiasts, and we are committed to nurturing their bodies and minds. By blending advanced athletic training, technologies, and evidence-based practices, our goal is to create a comprehensive performance and recovery haven. Our mission is to inspire athletes and fitness enthusiasts of all ages to surpass their limits by fostering optimal muscular and mental health, leading to substantial excellence in sports and life. The Performance Center will focus primarily on baseball, but will also feature 3 large cages, throwing lanes, and workout area for strength training. The center will employ expert instructors, including former college and professional players, who will offer hitting, pitching, and defensive lessons using advanced technology and provide data-driven insights. The workout area will aid in strength and functional training for anyone of all ages and fitness levels, with meal plan guidelines to support both athletic development and general health. The Recovery Center, while still focusing on athletes and fitness enthusiasts, will feature numerous tools of science-backed technologies to aid in performance at the highest level. The center will offer a variety of services: cold tubs, saunas, red light, dry needling, so on, etc. Each of these tools have their own vital role in recovery, but in general, they aid in muscle and joint soreness and recovery, improve mental clarity, improve energy and focus, so on, etc. Lastly, there will be a licensed physical therapist on staff who will aid in numerous areas of the previously mentioned modalities and provide other care such as initial evaluations, return to play programs, blood flow restriction, hands-on physical therapy, etc. You get the point. Slide. Just so you kind of have an idea, this picture right here on the left is as you enter the clinic, you'll see some chairs for compression therapy, tables in the back for physical therapy. On the right wall is just all individual rooms and offices for personal physical therapy. The middle is just from a flip point of view. On the right photo is as you come out of the clinic and you turn right, you'll go into the Performance Center. Slide. And the Performance Center is roughly 7,000 square feet. On the left here, same idea, where you see the entire Performance Center. And then the photo on the right, you see the hallway going back into the clinic and into the main entrance of the building. Slide. The specific industry has been experiencing significant growth as people have become more health conscious and athletes have shifted to a more technological approach to training. Therefore, consumers are increasingly invested in preventative health measures which align to the services we offer. When it comes to the recovery side, there is growing trends towards holistic health, where individuals seek comprehensive approach to well-being through our services. Customers are looking more for a one-on-one personalized performance and wellness solutions tailored to their unique needs. Our services can be customized to address specific training and health goals and concerns. As the global population ages, there is a greater emphasis on anti-aging and longevity. Strength training, cold tubs, saunas, etc. all appeal to this demographic. Our target market will primarily be athletes and fitness enthusiasts between the ages of 14 and 60 years old. The lifestyle of this demographic will be strongly active and sports-centered and made up of high school, college, and professional athletes, along with health and fitness enthusiasts of ages between 25 and 60. But like I've mentioned earlier, I don't want to undercut the potential growth of my business, so we have offered various physical therapy and modality options to anyone with any kind of specific need. And this brings me to the question here at hand for the text amendment. Why am I using industrial building? Like I mentioned before, what I'm building is a one-stop shop for athletes where they can find everything that they need to be a top performer under one roof. Typically, and from my experience in my younger playing days, you would have to go to all different separate locations. You'd need to go to a park or an indoor facility for cages, a different facility for lessons or practice, a separate gym for personal training, then another location for physical therapy, so on and so on. Today, many other businesses are following this model of designing everything under one roof, thus providing efficiency and convenience for both players and their parents. Some examples of this is Peak Kinetic Athletic Performance, which is located in Ringgold, Georgia. These are other businesses that also use an industrial or warehouse type building. Pinnacle Performance, which is in Peachtree Corners, the Hill Baseball Performance in Atlanta, and Maven Baseball Lab in also in Atlanta. Traffic concerns. So in my original conversation with Zach Arnold, he raised the main point of concern being regular vehicle traffic, stating that typically uses that drive regular vehicle traffic are kept out of industrial areas to limit the commingling of heavier use activities such as trailers, dump trucks, etc. However, I will note the other permitted uses that are listed within this light industrial zoning class that would draw similar vehicle traffic. Adult entertainment establishments, amateur radio transmitter, brew pub, breweries, cheerleading gym facilities, and other athletic training facilities, animal clinic or hospital, indoor firing range, indoor recreational facility, offices, religious institutions, schools, tattoo and body piercings, parlors. Slide. Also, as you see in this picture, the neighboring business on the right side, AGI, is within 200 feet from the main entrance of my facility, and they share a parking lot with my customers, so there's a similar vehicle there. My customers will drive down the east side of the building, which is the right side of the building, to enter the building, whereas for tractor trailers or heavier equipment, we'll drive down Conyers Industrial on the west side of the building to access the rear for deliveries. Slide. According to the Georgia Department of Transportation's traffic analysis, the data application in 2023, at a data point that's roughly 0.3 miles from the intersection of River Drive and Old Mill Road, they calculated that an annual average daily traffic rate of roughly 16,000 vehicles, only 3.33% of them were large, heavy vehicles. I'm looking at number 6, on the right-hand side, number 6 and down. These all include tractor trailers, dump trucks, cement trucks, trash trucks, etc. Therefore, because of these 3 main points, I do not foresee any direct conflict with heavier traffic with any of my customers. Thanks.
Can you
Any
provide us
questions?
a few more details?
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Asa. Is there any other questions or comments?
Is it targeted to a certain age?
Yes, so it's roughly, our target market is going to be between 14 and 60. Athletes will be the younger side, and again, like I've said, I don't want to undercut a specific demographic, so we're going to welcome anyone that needs any kind of health needs or anything like that.
So that means all sports?
All sports, yes, sir.
Very good. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And we are in the midst of a public hearing for T24-06. Anybody else wishing to speak for or against may step forward and do so at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing for T24-06. And again, council will have this at a second reading on December 5th, which a reminder, that is a 9 o'clock meeting time here in these council chambers because the Christmas parade is that evening. We will move on to the next item. Mr. Forsyth, if you'll get us going with...
Actually, Mayor, I will take care of that item for Sydney. Sorry about that.
Mr. Lovell, will you handle the next item, please?
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, this is an amendment to our utility rate ordinances, specifically dealing with capacity fees and allowing us the flexibility with a wholesale customer when they need a temporary increase in capacity, and that capacity will eventually revert back to the city to allow them to only be paying for the capacity they're actually using during that time that they need that capacity. It is recommended by staff for your approval.
Okay. Thank you. This is a first reading. Is there any questions about this item? Once again, we'll take this up for final consideration at our meeting on December the 5th. Mr. Lovell, we do have a second reading of an ordinance regarding failure to appear in our city court system.
Yes, Mayor. This one is cleaning up some conflicts between 2 different failure to appear sections in the City of Cartersville Code, and it is recommended by staff for your approval. It is a second reading.
Thank you for that. Council, any discussion or questions about this item? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Dixon, you have the next 3, I do believe. Good evening to you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is our standard development agreement between the city and City Overlook LLC. It states that the developer agrees to abide by our Gas Advantage program for all 18 homes in the development. And in return, the city will provide all the natural gas main infrastructure at no cost. City attorney has approved this agreement, and council's approval to execute this agreement is recommended.
I mentioned it in work session, I'll mention it here in the open meeting. I really appreciate the strategy that you and Mr. Porta have kind of spearheaded to aggressively go after utility customers.
Thank you.
And investing a little bit on the front end and getting payback, and I think on this one, a little bit less than 2 years, this will pay for
Yes.
itself, correct?
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate your leadership on that. Is there any other questions or discussion? If there are none, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Relocation agreement.
Yes, sir. This agreement between the city and Southeastern Freight Lines Incorporated states that all costs associated with the relocation of the natural gas main infrastructure in conflict with the development of this project will be paid for by the developer. The estimated cost of this relocation is $103,302.06, and council's approval of this agreement is recommended.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Final one for you, Michael.
We are requesting the purchase of a heavy-duty dump truck to replace an existing truck that is 21 years old and is in need of extensive repair work. We requested 3 quotes, and the best quote was submitted by Peach State Truck Centers of Norcross, Georgia. They submitted a state contract price of $132,028. This is a budget item, and council's approval to accept this quote is recommended.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Chief, you are up, sir.
Good evening. First one I have is a request to pay flock safety for our LPRs. It's a budgeted item and it'll be paid for with federal asset forfeiture funds.
Thank you. And of course, LPRs are?
License plate readers.
I knew that. I just want to make sure everybody else did.
Yeah.
Any questions on this item? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please,
Okay,
Chief.
the next one is purchase of Lexipol software, which will help us with our state certification and our CALIA certification. Basically, it provides us continuous updates on state law, federal law, case law, and it helps us draft our policies. So we stay basically ahead of all the changes. And the total cost of it is $34,643.03. And then each year after that, it's $22,853.20. And it'll be paid for with federal asset forfeiture funds.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Chief on this item? If there are none, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Chief. Mr. Greer, you're up. Mr. Bagley, you're on deck.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item is the yearly support renewal for our Barracuda email archive appliance. It's where we store all of our city emails. This is $12,000 from Converge Technology Solutions, and it is a budgeted item, and we recommend this for your approval.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Stephen on this? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Bagley.
Yes, sir. My first item is the approval for the city calendar printing award to a new Dimension Graphic Design and Printing. The total cost remains the same from last year, $15,769.91, and this is a budgeted item.
Thank you. And ahead of that motion, I'll give you a moment. Is there voting for the pictures going on now, or is that?
It has closed, and it is out to some city staff and council members for voting, for selection. Yes, sir.
Very good. All right. Any other questions or discussion? If not, a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item, Logan.
Yes, sir. Next will be the Everbridge notification system renewal. This is the annual renewal for our citizen alert system, which is $14,377.14, and this is also a budgeted item.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. Mr. Forsyth, you are up.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Was Keith going to handle these for you too, or?
He is welcome to.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
The first item is the annual blanket purchase order request for our treatment chemicals at both the water treatment and water pollution control plant. We've requested bids from various chemical suppliers with prices to be held firm through October 31st of 2025. Overall, the prices are lower than they were last year, so we're expecting to spend less this year.
That's great.
Depending on the flows. But, this is recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Cherokee Circle Water Main Replacement.
Yes, sir. This is a replacement of approximately 2,000 feet of small diameter galvanized water line on Cherokee Circle, which also extends into Indian Trail down to Etowah Drive. We opened bids on that. We had about 6 bidders on that, and the low bid was HD Excavation and Utilities of Dallas for $618,008. This is a budgeted expense recommended for your approval.
What is the time frame for the beginning of that project?
As quick as we can get contracts drawn up.
Okay.
It will likely be, it'll probably be in January.
Okay, thank you.
Before it starts.
Any other questions? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Yes, sir. This is a feed gate replacement for a clarifier at the water pollution control plant. It's hard to tell the scale there, but that's about 5.5 feet wide and about 6 feet tall. The current one is about 34 years old, I believe, and it no longer seals, so it essentially leaks around it. This controls the flow out of a secondary clarifier there. We opened bids for that. The low bid was from TDH Company for $21,285. It's a budgeted maintenance expense recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next one, please.
Yes, so this is a transformer purchase for a biosolids sludge dryer that we're installing at the water pollution control plant. The electric department actually spec'd and bid this out for us, and they will purchase it on our behalf. We're requesting the award go to the best bid of Emerald Transformer for $38,125. Is the best bid because it meets specifications and only has a 1 to 2 week lead time, which is substantial for a transformer these days.
Absolutely.
It's a budgeted maintenance expense, or capital expense, rather, recommended for your approval.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Last one for you, Mr. Forsyth.
Yes, sir. This is the annual invoice from the Atlanta Regional Commission. This is essentially the water litigation group for water resource and water service providers in the both Lake Allatoona and Lake Lanier water service areas for $37,500. That is a fixed expense. It's the same every year.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second.
And thank you. All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Sidney. Mr. Morgan.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Council. We bring before you a surplus item equipment list that we provided. We're asking approval. This is a surplus list from departments. We're asking approval to sell these items, the vehicles and the equipment on Gov Deals. That's a request.
Thank you. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
To approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please, Freddie.
Yes, sir. This is a replacement of a copier printer for our municipal court. IT spec'd it for us so to be able to have the capacity that it needed for court docket records and so forth. The existing one is over 10 years old. It is a budgeted expenditure. We're asking approval to purchase this in the amount of $9,555.27 from Canon Solutions.
Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
We issued an RFP for pest control services for all city facilities. We received 14 qualified bids, and after review of the bids, we selected CNC Exterminators as the best choice to perform these services. We're asking your approval to move forward with that contract. Mr. Lovell's added an addendum in that because we're asking for additional years if we so see fit going forward, but we want to make sure that we had all that language properly vetted.
Thank you. So that motion, just normal motion, or does anything have to be amended, or is it good?
We listed all that in the.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Any discussion? If not, a motion's in order.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next item, please.
Thank you. Yes, sir. This is a request to purchase a replacement vehicle for planning and development. We're replacing a 2006 F-150 with approximately 83,000 plus miles on it. It's a budgeted expense. It's a 2025 Chevrolet 1500 four-wheel drive. We're purchasing from Buster Miles Chevrolet in the amount of $43,602.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Last one for you, Freddie.
Yes, sir. This is a replacement vehicle for Finance Department. We're replacing a 2013 F-150 with approximately 195,000 plus miles on it. It's a budgeted replacement. We're asking to replace it with a 2024 Ford Explorer from Prater Ford in the amount of $38,340.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll move on.
Freddie, before you leave.
Oh, that's right.
I want the council to know that last week Freddie attended the GCCMA conference, which is our semi-annual conference with the Georgia City County Managers Association, and he was awarded the Cornerstone of the Profession Award. So congratulations. This honor recognizes exceptional assistant and deputy public administrators whose dedicated service has significantly advanced local government management, fostered innovation, and inspired peers throughout Georgia. So thank you very much, Freddie.
They made an excellent choice. You better win it next year, too. Now on to the added items, or at least some of them. Mr. Lovell, we've got a property swap of sorts.
Yes, Mayor. The new Leaf Walk subdivision in the county is needing to relocate one of our walking trails out in that area. So they're proposed to take over our old trail and put in a new trail in that area. And this resolution just basically authorizes the mayor and council to execute the documents when they complete all that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or discussion? If not, a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Dan, you have the other three.
Yes, sir. The first one is distribution of sale of Georgia Public Web assets. If you recall, a couple years ago, the GPW was sold, which the city of Cartersville was part of. We received about a little over $3 million a couple years ago. This is the rest of those assets are withheld a little while longer until after the transition was done and new company took over. We have about $162,000 left to collect from them, and I recommend approval for the mayor and city clerk to sign this form.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. That's pretty easy one, right? We'll sign up to take in some money.
Yes,
Next item.
Next one is invoice from Davis, Lucas and Carter, is a law firm out of Rome. We hired a few months back to do an investigation for us. It came out clean, but the invoice for this is $8,512.50. I recommend approval. Pay them.
Thank you. Questions, comments, or motions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And then you've got the item we talked about in work session that we did add to the agenda.
Logan's been working on this with JRM Management to assist us with the 175th City Celebration. I recommend approval on the move forward in this agreement with JRM Management Services, Inc.
Any discussion? If not, a motion is in order.
Motion to approve.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. Mr. Reinhardt, the finance report.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we will be looking at the September 2024 and comparing to September 2023. The general fund revenues increased over last year by $400,000. Expenses increased by $3.4 million. Areas of revenue in the general fund I'll look at on a monthly basis. Local option sales tax have a decrease there of about $183,000. Building permits and inspection fees is decreased there of about $401,000. In the water and sewer fund, revenues increased over last year by $856,000. Expenses decreased by $163,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, decreased operating expenses, decreased debt service expenses, decreased capital expenses, and increased transfers to the general fund. In the gas fund, revenues decreased over last year by $541,000. Expenses increased by $173,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, decreased cost of purchase of gas, decreased capital expenses, and increases in the transfers to the general fund. In the electric fund, revenues increased over last year by $1.7 million. Expenses decreased by $87,000. This is due to decreased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, decreased cost of purchase of electricity, and increased capital expenditures. In the stormwater fund, revenues decreased over last year by $44,000. Expenses decreased by $84,000. This is due to decreased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and decreased capital expenses. Solid waste fund, revenues decreased over last year by $173,000, and expenses increased by $65,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses and increased operating expenses. And finally, in the fiber optics fund, revenues increased over last year by $130,000. Expenses increased by $340,000. This is due to increased personnel expenses, increased operating expenses, and increased capital expenses. And the cash position, total unrestricted funds increased over the prior month, and the total restricted cash balances decreased. The SPOS account, SPOS 2014, has a balance of $237,015.23. SPOS 2020 account is $14,209,936.99.
Thank you. Comments?
Just a reminder of obviously doing well during this year, obviously first 3 months of the year. Just want to remind Mayor and Council on the general fund, you see a negative balance, but that is because of Fire Station 5, which we're using the $16.5 million we received from the sale of the industrial park. That's our portion of it so far. There's some additional money that we should be getting in the future. That's part of that money being spent also for the recreation center, which we're kind of working with the architect now, as well as architect on the city hall. So you're going to continue seeing that because we did plan on going this year to reuse the reserves to help pay for those new buildings. But everything else is going fine. Thank you, Tom, for you guys' work.
Thank you. Any other questions about the financial report?
Just a quick question. Tom, the 2020 SPOS balance, that balance, we've already paid out for the silent crossings, correct? So that
Yes.
is in.
That was 1.9 million roughly.
I think we purchased a fire truck as well.
Yes.
Yes, way
So
early in
so
the
that's
early in the
fine.
process. Yes.
Yeah, we've actually, last year, Tom and I got together, we actually put majority of that money into the Georgia Fund 1, made about $500,000 in interest on that because setting aside for Gotham Ferry and other road projects. So we're trying to keep that money until we need it. We're gonna earn as much
We'll
as
put a CD on the docket run.
well.
5-year CD.
So thanks for bringing that up, guys. So why it's a topic, where are we? Are we at right-of-way acquisition out there?
No, we're still a couple years away probably for that. We're really looking into, and Wade's not here, but I was on the call the other day, we're looking at like 27, probably for right-of-way, 26, 27 for right-of-way acquisition.
The state has delayed again.
Yeah.
Perfect, all right.
And speaking of delays, go ahead.
To be honest, if it starts in 2027, I would imagine the archaeological, environmental, wetland studies will all have to be updated before that project's done. I think those cost you about $300,000 or $400,000 in total last time, so I would imagine probably closer to $6 this time.
I think DOT reimbursed us for that, did they?
We did get some money for some of that, but I think that pot's kind of running dry, so as much we've asked.
It's their dang fault.
No, I know.
I don't disagree with you there. Speaking of delays, update on the quiet zone.
The quiet zone, so CSX Railroad, of course, as you asked, we did pay them several months ago, and we've been pushing them, but they're on their own time frame. And we've been told that The first meeting for pre-construction probably won't be until January, because they've got so much, their staff has so much vacation time in November and December, so I would anticipate that the first quarter of 25, probably looking at maybe April or May of 25, that hopefully we will see those completed.
Very good. If you were paying attention, council, you noticed that we added 5 items to the agenda, but we only covered 4 of them. There's reason for that. I have a proclamation here. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for at least one person in this room, because I need Scott Singer, who's recording this, to come to the podium, please. I'll give him just a minute to try to figure out how exactly he's going to do that. But I will say, you can thank your wife for this. I have a proclamation here that says, whereas Scott Singer has been covering Cartersville City Council meetings from his time at WBHF, Prestige Cable 4, Adelphia, and now WorkhorseVideo Productions. And whereas this meeting is the 500th meeting that Scott has covered. And during that time, he's had 3 mayors, Sam Smith, Mike Fields, and yours truly, and there have been approximately 15 city council members in that time. Whereas it is hypothesized that Scott Singer has attended more Cartersville City Council meetings than anyone in the history of the city of Cartersville not named David Archer. Whereas everyone knows Cartersville holds a special place in Scott's heart, especially for sports team, and he can recall facts from past Cartersville football games like nobody's business. Whereas in recent years, Scott has turned his attention to his daughter Daly's sports endeavors. When he's not coaching her in basketball, he's on the sidelines keeping the book, and he's her #1 fan. And whereas in covering these meetings, he's logged thousands of miles and spent countless hours away from Daly and his wife Erin, also a WBHF and Prestige Cable fame. Now, therefore, I, Matthew J. Santini, Mayor of Cartersville, do hereby proclaim November 1st, 2024 as Scott Singer Day in Cartersville in recognition of his time bringing Cartersville City Council meetings to the community.
Thank you.
That's dedication.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm like the Cal Ripken of City Council. Thank you all.
Very good. Is there any other business that needs to come before the City Council this evening? If not, I will remind everybody that city offices will be closed next Thursday and Friday. If you are a garbage customer on Thursday and Friday, put your stuff out Monday. It might take until Tuesday. Those folks deserve time off too. It'll all be fine, I can assure you of that. And also know that while the city offices are closed, there's an awful lot of folks from utilities and public works and public safety that will be working diligently through that time so we can enjoy our time away, and we owe them a debt of gratitude in that as well. So, other than that, Cartersville plays at home tomorrow night, maybe the last home game for the football this season, since they'd have to go on the road the following week. So we would say go Canes and ask everybody to support the home team. That being said, Chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
We're adjourned.
Okay, now we'll go back in your car.
Yeah,
Now
no.
you missed it.
No. I was told I have to go to the grocery store.